Hello, and welcome to the Lived Experience in partnership with the Person-Centered Neurosciences Society and the Lifestyle Health Foundation. I'm Neil Bindemann, and over the coming weeks and months, I look forward to inviting you to watch and enjoy a series of relaxed conversations that I'll be having with people from all walks of life, including people like Freya and Chris Lewis, who I met just the other day. Chris Lewis talked about his life after being given months to live, which was now 15 years ago, and Freya, who following an incomplete suicide attempt, challenged with a diagnosis of secondary progressive multiple sclerosis, talked about what I'll term his reset moment, and with a lot of courage and determination, went from using a wheelchair more and more, as his neurologist had predicted, to eventually walking into the surgery to see his consultant neurologist, who he now hasn't seen for many years. So I invite you to sit back and enjoy our conversation.
Hi guys, and first of all, thanks Neil for inviting us along. Actually, this sounds really interesting and it's the sort of thing that I love doing. So yeah, I'm Chris Lewis. I was a business consultant, self-employed for many years. First of all, I used to help other people with their businesses, and then I started running my own for the last sort of 15 years of my life. So I enjoyed my work very much, but unfortunately at 51, I got cancer, and so that was the end of life part one, and the beginning of life part two. The early part of life part two was very serious. I needed a lot of work done. I was incurable. My cancer was incurable. It was stage 4 when it was found. And I needed stem cell transplants and lots of serious work done just to keep me alive. My prognosis was 6 months. And here we are now, 15 years later. So that was done in 2007. But that also changed my life in the fact that I was fortunate. I'd done well in business. My wife had a good job. And much as I wanted to work, I just couldn't in between the treatment. The treatment was too hectic and regular after I'd had all the serious work done. So I decided that what I saw, the facilities for people affected by cancer, was really poor. I saw and experienced the discrimination by society against people who got cancer and other serious conditions, and I decided that just wasn't good enough. Obviously, I never knew anything about that until I got involved in it. But once I got involved in it, I was deeply ashamed of what I saw. And I was fortunate in the fact that, you know, I got a great family, great friends, really solid base. And I was struggling. So, you know, I thought, how on earth does Mrs. Smith, you know, who's 75, hasn't got any family, how on earth does she get by on this system? It's just no good. So then, since then, I've spent my life campaigning and talking around the world. One thing's led to another. I started with a little website. I never knew anything about social media or the like of that. Everything I learned was self-taught, because like you guys, you know, I came from the days of picking up the phone if you wanted to speak to somebody. So, but I feel blessed in a way that I am in this era of social media, because it's enabled me to get my message out. You know, I would otherwise be an anonymous guy trying to bang on the door of some authority that wouldn't let me in because I was a troublemaker. So actually, thank God for internet, that's all I can say. And it's enabled me to meet, you know, wonderful people along the way, like you guys. So now I spend my time pre-COVID traveling around the world, invited to be speaking at some conferences and other places like that. So my life's become very different since cancer. You know, I run my own website, which people help me start, and I've got friends that help me with stuff. And I'm now a name in the cancer sector. I'm very well known, probably one of the most influential cancer patients in the world. My website's very busy. My social media is very busy. And I'm here now just to do my best. I'll keep poking the bear, the government, all the rubbish charities that are out there taking money. And I'm just here trying to do my best for people affected by cancer. Along the way, I love what I do, by the way, you might tell that. I love upsetting authority. I'm a real disruptor. And I'm glad they can't get rid of me. You know, the only thing is I'm getting older now. Some of my health's going a bit more. It makes it a bit tougher to do. But does that make sense where I am today?
Wonderful, Chris. So I can see Chris Freya's just glowing. Go on, Chris.
Wow, Chris, absolutely amazing to meet you. Thank you for your story. So much of that. Wow, I want to jump up and down and celebrate what you said. Amazing, well done.
Thank you.
My story is I have been a businessman all my life. I've sort of worked for myself all my life, and I still am. But I thought that I was invincible. I thought that I could continue to run, you know, and I just didn't listen to people that say, well, you want to take it a bit easy, otherwise you're going to make yourself ill, because I thought I was Superman, really. And actually, I became ill, and I got really ill in 2002 when I collapsed, taken to hospital, and I got set out on the road to find out what was the matter with me. And I had been going to my GP for about 4 years before that, being told all these symptoms are stress, you know. And I found out that I had multiple sclerosis, which was a huge shock, blow. I signed up for all the disease protocols that are put in place with people with what is classified as relapsing remitting. I was taking disease modifying drugs, very powerful drugs they are. And one of them that I was injecting myself with 3 times a week, which I was told was going to slow down the progression of the illness. And it wouldn't even affect me, this illness, for at least another 20 years. You're going to be all right, you know. But I was getting steadily worse, and I mean worse, you know. And from 2002 to 2007, I'd got so bad that I just decided there was nothing to live for anymore, and I went out and had a serious attempt at chucking myself under a lorry. The thing that saved me that day was compassion, not compassion for me, it was compassion for the lorry driver, who I was about to hurl myself under his front wheels. And I hesitated and I bounced off the side of the lorry, really. But that was a really big wake-up call for me. I just saw this opportunity to rebuild my life in a different framework, really. So I started to research, and what I've achieved has taken me a long time. You know, I'm self-taught. I continued with my neurologist, who ordered an enhanced MRI scan in 2008, and he told me the result of that was that the MS, I had loads more new lesions in the brain, and the way that this was progressing, that I would be in a wheelchair by 2012. And the sooner I got my head around that, for my own mental well-being, it would be better for me, you know, of which he was right. You know, I was using that wheelchair more and more, but I was still studying, and I was studying nutrition. I was studying how our mind works. I was studying exercise, and I was applying the things that I was learning in my dietary approach. And it's taken a long time to turn things around, yeah. But the last time I saw my neurologist, which was about 2017, I walked into his surgery. And the rest, as they say, is history, because at 62, I'm approaching 63 now, I can honestly look anybody in the eye and say I feel fitter, stronger and happier now than I think I ever have in my life, and that's with an incurable illness.
Yeah, Chris, you say, I suppose it's interesting, the word incurable illness. That word is an interesting word. It may well be incurable in the context of the medical world. But do you see it like that?
Well, to be honest with you, Neil, look, you know I do quite a lot. I mean, like you, I do quite a bit of public speaking. I do quite a bit on social media that, I mean, I don't really understand it. I get myself in hot water sometimes with the words that I use. And you know that I am very much into words.
Oh, yeah.
Incurable is, I've not got rid of this. I live a proactive life with multiple sclerosis. You know, it does affect me. It does affect me, but I have strategies and protocols in place that make it manageable.
Yes. Yeah.
So
you're living well with.
I live well with multiple sclerosis.
Yeah. I think that's an important term, isn't it?
In fact, I live my best life with this illness. You know, I met a new lady in 2010, and
she comes with a rather special name, doesn't she, Chris?
Yeah. Joy came into my life, and it sort of confuses people a little bit because that's her name.
Nice.
But she's an amazing. I never thought that someone like me could be loved. Well, I never loved myself, you know, to be quite honest with you. I had no compassion for self. I now realise that we need more love. That is the most powerful thing that human beings possess, and that is love.
That's wonderful, Chris. That's it. Really is. Actually, I got to be honest, it brings a tear to my eye to hear you say that. Really, I feel lucky myself with the lovely wife I have, and the support that she has given me through the years, with or without this non-malignant brain tumor. She's been phenomenal, really, for me. And I dare say you've got support like that, Chris Lewis, as well.
Indeed, Neil. It's my 44th anniversary, not in a couple of weeks, actually.
Wow.
So I know, and Sue knows, you know, without my missus, first of all, I don't think I'd have made it through, because there's been a lot of times I've been pretty much incapacitated, let's say. I've been very, very bad. The disease was bad at the time, and the treatment's even worse. And so she's taken me to and from hospital. She's seen the real downsides of me, because let's be honest, we all have two sides to us. You know, we have a public side and we have a private side, right? And you know, especially when we all do the work that we do, nobody wants to hear about everyone else's baggage, right? They just want to come to you as you're the funny guy, you're the guy that motivates people. You know, that's what they want to find from you. So my poor missus, you know, she gets the down days when I don't want to move out the chair. You know, and I get fed up with things going wrong health-wise, and you know, we have to change arrangements to social arrangements and things like that. So I know without that strong family and friends, I couldn't have got through it. And even better really today, I couldn't do the work that I do without my missus, because she knows what I do. She knows the impact of what I do. So she lets me crack on with it. So, you know, Sue gets on with it. She gets on with her pals, and she does all the family stuff. We've got 3 great grandkids, you know, which are, I mean, I don't mean great grandkids. I mean grandkids that are great. There is a difference, right?
Yes.
So, you know, we spend a bit of time with them, which is great. They live local. So I probably, like you, Chris, I've reached the most satisfied place in my life that I probably could be. I don't have any financial worries, thankfully. I don't do anything. I don't have to do things for money. So I can pick and choose now what I do, which is definitely what I do. I make sure that if I get invited to a function, it's something where it's not a waste of my own time. It actually has an impact on wherever I am, the people in the room, or whatever I'm doing. Otherwise, I don't do it, and it doesn't matter about what the offer of money is. My currency is time. Like, you know, I'm sure a lot of people have woken up to that since COVID. So I can pick and choose what I do. My health wouldn't be my choice, to be honest. Things are all starting to fall off now, not just because I'm old, but mostly because of the treatment. You know, the bad things are happening now, and you know, things are going to change for me literally in the next 2 or 3 years and make life a lot more difficult for me. But if at the time when I was going through, you know, oh, you're only going to get 6 months out of it, that's if you survive the chemo, if you survive the stem cell transplant, you know, that might not go well. People don't live long after stem cell transplant with your disease, and here I am in my 15th year, right? So if someone had said at the time, Chris, we can give you 15 years, but at the end of that, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, of course you would take it, right? Sorry, Chris. Yeah, go for it, man.
I'm sorry, I just need to ask you a question.
Go for it.
So what do you attribute your 15 years to then?
First of all, great care from my team. I was fortunate, I don't know, look, I'm a lucky guy in life, right? I don't know how you guys view your life, but I've been a lucky guy. You know, I've worked in a very tough industry for many years. I was in the rag trade, and that's very tough. You know, when the likes of Philip Green and all of these were at their height of animalness, I was working in those times, and I made a good living out of it. So I've always been lucky. You know, if my bread turned on the other side, it always kept the jam side up. You know, that's just how it was. It's a good question, Chris. I mean, I was lucky where I was because I had mantle cell lymphoma, which is a blood cancer, and it's a rare one in this country. I'm a different patient to most, to be honest, because I just wanted to, you know, when you're given that sort of prognosis, I just wanted to use whatever time that I had. Look, nobody knows how much time they got, right? But nobody knows that. And the chances are that we'll probably die of something totally different to what we're talking about today. That's the chances are. So I just wanted to, you know, when I saw what was happening in that world, I said to my missus, I've got to do something about this because I'm not fit enough to carry on flying around the world doing £1 million deals. That just wasn't in me anymore. And I just wanted to help. So I think with encouragement from my family, wonderful care from the hospital, of which I still get, you know, I'm still a regular punter, unfortunately, and I will be to the day I die. But just, people talk about positive PMA, right? Positive mental attitude. I've always had it. So it wasn't something that I suddenly had to find. I always had it. And when the guy gave me the prognosis, I felt sorry for the guy, honestly, who had to tell me that he found that. I had my tonsils out, And he said, oh, we've done a biopsy on your tonsils and we found this. And I said, what the hell is it? And he goes, oh, it's cancer and it's stage 4. I said, what the hell is stage 4? And he goes, well, there isn't any stage 5. And at that time, I felt sorry for him to have to tell me that. But also, I asked him, I said, have you got the right file? Because nothing shit like this happens to me, right? It doesn't. You must have the wrong file. I've got a common name, Lewis, you know? And he said, no, unfortunately, Mr. Lewis, we have got the right file. And so it went on from there. You know, you faced your issues. I faced it, and I was determined not to be beaten. You know, from the start, I'd heard horrible things about chemo and all of that. And so I worked through it. You know, I managed to get my chemo regime on a Friday. So I took off Friday and Monday, and I did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at work.
Chris, Freya, why did you ask that question?
I just wanted to know what regime he'd brought in, really, what he attributed. Absolutely, like you had an amazing medical team. I tend to focus very much on a dietary, movement, mindfulness approach to health in general. You know, I think what we consume is instrumental in creating the environment in our bodies that will create dis-ease or good health, you know, sort of thing. So that's the reason I was just looking for some. You know, I started eating string beans or something. You know.
Well, actually, Chris, I know what you're talking about, and it's quite ironic that I was very much the opposite to that, actually. And it always makes for a laugh when I do, like you said earlier on, you do talks and stuff. Obviously, people are interested. You've got an incredible story, and obviously, if I was in the same position as you, I'd want to hear stories like yours, right? Because and that's what happens to me. People want to hear my story. You know, my stuff's like it's like a beacon around the world. As I said earlier, thank God for the internet. Because people Google my disease and then I come up, you know, I'm up there and it's like, oh, what's this guy? But actually, the ironic thing about the food thing is, and I do a lot of work in cancer general now, not just my own cancer, but because of what I found is that a lot of impact, not just physical impact I'm talking about the sociology, the psychological stuff of cancer. It comes whatever cancer you have. When I talk about my own cancer, diet at the time, so 14, 15 years, that was never really discussed. Of course, it's logical. We are what we eat, right? That's what the simple matter of it. You know, if we drive a car and we put shit petrol in it, we ain't going to get the optimum, are we? Let's be fair. And the same applied here. But what happened to me, I went into the reverse of that. My missus is a fantastic cook. And much as I'm not a lover of broccoli or bloody cauliflower and whatever, but she makes sure that I get it. And what happened was, when I got this disease, and I was like, no, you're not going to last long, you know. And I said to her, I said, listen, flipping heck, leave me alone with the stuff I don't like, right? Give me plenty of stuff I do like. Because if I'm not going to be here very long, I ain't suddenly going to reverse all those years of cancer, right? So out the window went a lot of good stuff. And in through the back door came Coca-Cola, chips, pizza, and all that. And this is probably not what you're likely to hear, but actually, I've had 15 years out of it, and I've had such good fun eating what the hell I want every day. Right?
That's interesting, Chris, but for me, and you saying that, because I think what you're also touching on in relation to what you've just said is there are emotions associated with what you're eating. And the term I would refer to, which is a term I've mentioned before and something else, is comfort food. The first thing that most people would want is some form of comfort. And that's a natural, instinctive feeling. That isn't just for a situation where somebody may have cancer. And that comfort can come in various forms. It can be food. The sort of experience that Chris Freya has also had is quite significant here, because it's important to recognize the need for the comfort, but then perhaps there's an element of guidance that's required to help support that aspect of the comfort, but guiding somebody maybe towards a different type of approach to what they're actually eating, but done in a very gentle way that keeps them feeling comfortable, but directs them towards maybe other types of foods. Now, Chris has obviously done that. Chris Freya has done that through maybe a different, I don't know, I'm speculating here, Chris, but maybe a different need that was there. I don't know, but something was driving you that wanted to look at the foods. Obviously, I think you looked at the research into the foods, but obviously there was something different about your situation and how you were feeling compared to Chris Lewis's situation. And maybe there's something that you've gone through or done that might help somebody like Chris Lewis.
There's a lot of inflammation associated with the kinds of conditions that I have. You know, autoimmune illness is inflammation, I think, and it made sense to me to avoid foods that would create inflammation in my body. And you know, I know this is going to sound woo-woo, if you like, but I don't think it is woo-woo. I started to eat foods, and I kind of blessed the foods really before I ate them with this, you know, this food I'm about to eat is going to nourish my body. You know, I just wanted to nourish my body. And I think it's possible that the intention that set up in my head was more powerful than the actual food I was consuming. Does that make sense to you? Yeah.
Perfect.
It's a dietary approach I still adopt. Not so much into the, I don't always go, this is going to nourish my body sort of intention, but I cannot remember a time that I felt better than eating mainly plant-based. That's my dietary approach, you know. May not be right for other people, but that's my approach.
But what was it? What gave you the kind of a sense of comfort from what you were doing? Because that's the thing I'm trying to, with Chris Lewis, obviously there was a sense of comfort that was coming from what he was doing, and there must have been a sense of comfort that was coming from what you were doing.
Yeah, it's the intention, because I believed that the food I was about to consume was going to nourish my body. That was the comfort. It's the, like I said, I think it's possible that it was the intention that was the powerful aspect of that. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. Does that make sense to you, Chris?
It does, and interesting enough, Chris, I'm vegetarian anyway, so I've never eaten meat. I don't eat meat or fish actually. So, but that's always been the case. It wasn't something that I started after my diagnosis. It's something. So I've never eaten meat since I was a kid. So if you believe, you know, the things about meat and everything else, which it seems to be now, I think you've started a trend where the plant-based is now everywhere. If you believe that sort of change is good for you, then I mean, I've always believed that anyway, because I don't eat meat from the start. So,
see, I don't necessarily see this explosion of plant-based. I mean, I'm primarily plant-based. I do eat some meat and fish from time to time. It needs to be, from what I believe to be, a good source. But this explosion in plant-based, the food companies have jumped on board of all of this, a lot of the vegetarian stuff that people are consuming, they think it's good for them, is still processed food. It is not good for you. It is, you've got to eat whole food.
Yeah, 100%.
In my opinion, the whole food is best. That's what nature has created. You know,
I'm sort of mulling over a few things as you're both sort of talking about your experiences. If you had to pinpoint one major aspect that you feel is the most significant part of your life that has enabled you to see things in a way that has helped you and maybe others, I'll ask that. Chris Freya, I'll go with you first on that one, if there's anything.
I'd like to have two things, really. You know,
By all means.
If you don't mind, because I think the one thing that changed my thought process was that I was working, this is not long after I tried to end my life, you know, and I was working with a Reiki master who was working with me, and she was also like a spiritual counsellor. And I remember a time when she said to me, she was doing some work, and I said, look, I really love what you're doing, and I totally believe in you, but you've got to understand that I've got damage in my body that cannot be repaired, you know. And she looked at me, she said, well, so why does it work sometimes and not other times, you know? And I'm talking about movement of a leg, or, you know, be feet or stuff. And I went, well, I don't know. I'll ask my neurologist, and he didn't know either. So that set off, that planted this seed in my brain for change. And I think the major realization came from me was when I started to really examine, and this did not happen straight away. This happened quite a long time after. When I started to ask myself the question, why was I so compassionate towards the lorry driver, and what effect it was going to have on him and his family? Why did I never have any compassion for me? Why did I believe that my 4 children, and I have 4 amazing children, would be better off without me? And I started to really examine why I've never had any compassion for myself in my life. And I think that's where things really started to rocket for me.
You said that. Wow. Well, that was an amazing conversation. That's the end of part 1. There is a second part, obviously, from what you've been listening to, and part 2 is going to be released very soon. And if you wish to be able to see that, then do have a look on the Lifestyle Health Foundation website at lifestylehealth.org.uk, or we'll also put it up on the Person-Centered Neurosciences Society website, and that is, as you can see on my background here, www.p-cns.org.uk, and that second part will be going up fairly soon. All right, thanks very much, and I look forward to welcoming you to part 2. Bye-bye.